Hello, my name is Joshua Croker, and today I will be talking about mutations. They are often claimed to be an important part of evolution, but in reality, they show evolution could never happen. Evolutionists say that mutations are important for evolution. They say that beneficial mutations steadily built up, eventually leading to the huge differences between species that we see today. This is completely wrong. First, let's think about what a mutation is. It's basically a spelling error in our DNA. If you have a book that's functional in itself, will a spelling error improve it? Not without an enormous amount of luck. Let's think of this analogy. You have the instructions to build a wagon, including the different components of it. There are machines that will faithfully carry out the instructions. And every time a wagon is built, its instructions are taken, and a few more instruction manuals are written based on it, but with a few additional spelling errors. Is this going to turn it into even something simpler but functional like a tricycle? But you say, what about natural selection? Natural selection is basically the god of evolution. It's even spoken of as if it were a person. The evolutionist Richard Dawkins said, quote, "Natural selection has managed to take the very simple facts of physics and chemistry and build them up to redwood trees and humans," unquote. Sounds like God to me. Okay, let's add natural selection into the analogy. We have a judge who briefly inspects each wagon and only puts through the few of the best ones. Even then, it could never turn into a car or a jet, because anything on the way to turning it into like a car would be a less effective wagon and would be selected against. All right, so you've had this analogy. Now let's think of it more realistically. Beneficial mutations are extremely rare, and harmful ones are quite common. And even those few beneficial mutations do not unambiguously create information. They actually destroy it. For example, you've probably heard that bacteria have become immune to antibiotics due to a mutation. This is scary, but it doesn't create information. Antibiotics work by binding to and disrupting certain proteins. If a bacterium gets a mutation that stops it from producing that protein, then the antibiotic won't work. And that helps while the antibiotic is there, but it's actually making part of the DNA not work, so that could never lead to a human. And also if the bacteria are removed from the antibiotic, then unmutated ones will easily outperform the mutants. Natural selection is limited too. Even artificial selection is limited. If everyone just has one new harmful mutation per generation, there's no way to select against it, because you'd have to select everyone to die, which would mean extinction. And it turns out everyone has over 100 new mutations per generation. But wait, there's more. Most mutations are nearly neutral. This is good news, because if they were all extremely bad and harmful, we'd be dead. But this is also bad news. This is where I need to introduce the concept of noise. Natural selection has two main weaknesses, other than the ones I've already mentioned. First, it's only probability based. So if one individual is less fit than another one, that doesn't mean that the less fit one will not reproduce, or that the more fit one will. It just means it has different chances. Plus, environmental, that is non-genetic factors, need to be accounted for. This is the noise. For example, if someone dies in a car crash through no fault of their own, that interferes with selection. Plus, living things learn a lot separately of their genetics, which means that fitness itself is not even based on genetics. For large harmful mutations, this isn't a problem, as it has enough effect to prevent the carrier from reproducing. But with these minor, nearly neutral mutations, their effect is so low that they are drowned out by the noise of environmental factors. Plus, most beneficial mutations are nearly neutral. And, oh yeah, even if you could build up the beneficial mutations, evolution has an inherent time limit. There are so many harmful mutations that will eventually build up and cause extinction, which means there's an inherent time limit. This takes away from the evolutionary principle of deep time. Basically, their idea is, well, the chances of one thing turning into another thing are really low, but with enough time it could happen. But because of harmful mutations, the species would go extinct before it can evolve. Without time, evolution could never happen. Thank you for listening. Most of my information was gotten from the book Genetic Entropy by J.C. Sanford, which I would highly recommend reading, both to get information and because it's quite interesting.